Have you ever felt drained after being around someone? Like they sucked the energy right out of you? Or maybe you've second-guessed yourself after a conversation, wondering if you were overreacting? That uneasy feeling isn't random, it's a warning. Some people manipulate, deceive, and control without you even realizing it. But once you recognize the signs, you'll never fall for their games again. Let's expose them. 1. Recognizing manipulation. The subtle trap that steals your power. Have you ever felt like someone was pulling the strings behind your actions, influencing your decisions in ways you couldn't quite explain? Manipulation is rarely obvious. It doesn't come with flashing warning signs or dramatic gestures. Instead, it creeps in through carefully placed words, disguised as advice, encouragement, or concern. Before you realize it, you start doubting yourself, questioning your instincts, and relying on someone else's judgment more than your own. Manipulative people thrive on control, but they don't take it by force. They make you hand it over willingly. A colleague, a friend, even a partner. Anyone can wear the mask of a supporter while secretly weaving a web that keeps you dependent on them. It starts subtly. Maybe they shower you with compliments, making you feel valued and important. But over time, those same words become tools for control. They highlight your weaknesses under the guise of helping you improve. They make you feel like you need their guidance to succeed. Stoic wisdom warns us about such people. Seneca once said, "He who has many fears also has many things to manipulate." Fear is their greatest weapon. They create doubt, eroding your confidence bit by bit until you no longer trust your own decisions. The moment you sense this pattern, step back. Epictetus reminds us, "No man is free who is not master of himself." True support leads to independence, not dependency. The best way to break free? Trust yourself, reclaim your autonomy, and refuse to play their game. 2. The illusion of charm. When charisma becomes a weapon. Not all smiles are genuine. Not every warm gesture comes from a place of kindness. Some people use charm not to build relationships, but to control, deceive, and manipulate. Their words are smooth, their compliments perfectly timed, and their presence almost magnetic. But beneath the polished exterior lies a carefully constructed act, designed to make you trust them before they take advantage of you. Have you ever met someone who seemed too good to be true? They made you feel special, as if you had a unique connection. At first, it felt natural. You enjoyed their attention, their praise, the way they made you feel seen. But over time, something felt off. Their charm was strategic, not sincere. You noticed how they treated others, kind when they needed something, cold when there was nothing left to gain. And the moment you stopped serving their purpose, they moved on, sometimes even turning against you. Marcus Aurelius once warned, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." True character isn't found in words, it's revealed through actions. A genuinely good person remains consistent, whether or not there's something in it for them. A manipulator, on the other hand, switches personas based on their needs. So how do you protect yourself? Pay attention to patterns, not just moments. Observe how they treat those who can't offer them anything. And most importantly, trust your instincts. If someone's charm feels rehearsed, it probably is. Real kindness doesn't need a performance. It speaks for itself, without effort, without manipulation, and without a hidden agenda. 3. Lies without conscience. The art of deception. Some people lie out of fear. Others lie to avoid consequences. But then there are those who lie simply because they can, because deception is second nature to them. For them, the truth isn't an inconvenience, it's irrelevant. Their words aren't meant to inform but to control, mislead, and manipulate. A skilled liar doesn't just tell falsehoods. They craft entire narratives. Their lies aren't careless, they're calculated. They know exactly what to say, when to say it, and how to make you believe it. You might even catch them contradicting themselves. But by the time you realize it, they've already woven a new web of deception to cover their tracks. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nothing should be done if it is not right, and nothing should be said if it is not true." But for those who live by manipulation, truth holds no value. They lie to gain power, to shift blame, to distort reality. And if you dare to confront them, they won't apologize. Instead, they'll make you question your own memory, twist your words, and redirect the blame. So how do you protect yourself? Pay attention to inconsistencies. Watch how their stories evolve. Do their words match their actions? Or do they shift under pressure? Stoic philosophy teaches us that actions reveal true character, not words. If someone constantly bends the truth, step back, set boundaries, and most importantly, remember this: the truth stands on its own. Lies, on the other hand, require constant maintenance, and eventually, no matter how well crafted, they crumble under their own weight. 4. The absence of empathy. When someone simply doesn't care, empathy is what connects us. It allows us to share in each other's joy, to feel another person's pain, and to build relationships based on mutual understanding. But some people lack this essential quality, not because they don't understand emotions, but because they simply don't care. Have you ever opened up to someone about something deeply personal, only to have them brush it off? Maybe they changed the subject. Maybe they turned the conversation back to themselves. Or worse, maybe they mocked your feelings, making you regret ever being vulnerable in the first place. This is not just insensitivity, it's a pattern. A clear sign of someone who sees others not as people, but as tools to be used, discarded, or ignored. Seneca once said, "We are born for cooperation, as are the feet, the hands, the eyelids, and the upper and lower rows of teeth." Human connection is meant to be reciprocal. When someone consistently dismisses your emotions, minimizes your struggles, or even takes pleasure in your misfortunes, they reveal their true nature. They are not interested in supporting you, they are only interested in themselves. So how do you deal with someone like this? First, recognize that you cannot force empathy where it does not exist. Stop expecting them to care. Protect your peace by setting clear emotional boundaries. Surround yourself with people who listen, who support, who genuinely value your presence. Because real connection isn't one-sided, it's built on mutual respect, understanding, and a willingness to be there for each other, through both the highs and the lows. 5. The hunger for control. When power is their only goal. Control. Some people crave it like oxygen, not because they care about order or stability, but because dominating others makes them feel powerful. They want to shape your decisions, influence your thoughts, and dictate the direction of your life. And they don't do it openly. No, their tactics are far more insidious. At first, their advice seems thoughtful, even helpful. They position themselves as someone who knows best, someone looking out for you. They might offer guidance, warning you about mistakes they claim to have seen others make. But over time, their influence tightens like a rope. You start second-guessing yourself. Doubt creeps in. You feel incapable of making decisions without their input. And that's exactly what they want. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But controlling people don't want you to realize that. They want you to believe that without them, you'll fail. They manipulate through guilt, subtle criticism, or even excessive praise that keeps you hooked on their approval. The moment you try to assert independence, they resist, sometimes with passive-aggressive comments, other times with outright hostility. So how do you break free? Recognize the pattern. Ask yourself, are my decisions truly my own? Or are they shaped by someone else's influence? Set firm boundaries. Trust your own judgment. The most dangerous thing you can do to a controlling person is to refuse to play their game. Because once you reclaim your autonomy, their power over you disappears. 6. Blame and deflection. The art of never taking responsibility. Some people will do anything to avoid admitting they're wrong. Instead of owning their mistakes, they shift the blame. Instead of holding themselves accountable, they create elaborate excuses. And when things go wrong, it's never their fault, it's yours, someone else's, or just bad luck. At first, it may seem unintentional, a minor misunderstanding, a forgotten deadline, a miscommunication. But as time goes on, a pattern emerges. No matter the situation, they always find a way to escape responsibility. If you confront them, they play the victim. If you challenge their excuses, they twist the story to make you feel guilty instead. Seneca once said, "The truth stands on its own," while lies require a web of justifications. A person who constantly avoids responsibility doesn't just lie to others, they lie to themselves. And the more they deflect, the more tangled their web becomes. They manipulate situations, distort facts, and rely on the trust of those around them to keep their version of reality intact. So, how do you deal with them? First, stop expecting them to change. People like this rarely do. Instead, focus on protecting yourself. Stay grounded in facts. If they try to twist the story, calmly stick to what you know is true. Refuse to be dragged into their blame game. Most importantly, set boundaries, because at the end of the day, their inability to take responsibility should never become your burden to carry. 7. Finding pleasure in pain. When someone thrives on others' misery, most people feel empathy when they see someone struggle. They offer support, a kind word, or even just a listening ear. But some individuals are different. Instead of feeling compassion, they take pleasure in other people's failures, pain, and hardships. It's not just indifference, it's something darker. At first, it might seem subtle, a smirk when you face a setback, a sarcastic remark disguised as humor, a passive-aggressive comment that stings just enough to make you wonder if it was intentional. But over time, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. They don't celebrate your victories, they downplay them. They don't console you in tough moments, they revel in them. Whether through gossip, sabotage, or quiet satisfaction, they find joy in watching others fall. Epictetus wisely said, "Associate with those who make you better." These people do the opposite. Their presence is toxic, their energy draining. They don't push you toward growth, they keep you stuck in a cycle of doubt, insecurity, and negativity. And the worst part? They often disguise their cruelty as honesty, making you question whether you're imagining things. So how do you protect yourself? Recognize them for who they are. Pay attention to how they react, not just to your struggles, but to anyone else's. Do they lift others up, or do they tear them down? If their happiness is built on your pain, walk away. Surround yourself with those who genuinely support you. Because real strength isn't found in making others suffer, it's found in lifting each other higher. 8. Isolation as a weapon. When someone cuts you off from the world, strong relationships are built on connection, trust, and mutual support. The people who genuinely care about you want to see you surrounded by love, by friendships, by a strong community. But toxic individuals? They want the opposite. They don't want you to have support, they want you isolated, dependent, and completely within their control. It never happens all at once. At first, they may make small comments about your friends or family. Are you sure they really care about you? I just don't think they treat you the way you deserve. These remarks seem harmless, even protective, but over time, they escalate. They plant doubts, cause friction, and slowly pull you away from the people who truly have your best interests at heart. Before you know it, you find yourself alone. The relationships that once gave you strength start to fade. And the only person left? The one who orchestrated it all. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Humans are born for cooperation. We are not meant to live in isolation." Yet, those who seek to control you will do everything in their power to sever your ties to others. The more isolated you become, the easier you are to manipulate. So how do you fight back? Recognize the signs early. If someone in your life is trying to create distance between you and your loved ones, ask yourself why. Are their concerns genuine, or are they pushing an agenda? Hold on to your connections, no matter what, because real love, real friendships, and real family don't seek to control you. They empower you to be your strongest, most independent self. 9. Jealousy in disguise. When envy masquerades as concern. Not all jealousy is obvious. Some people won't openly admit they envy you. Instead, they hide it behind carefully worded advice, subtle criticisms, and backhanded compliments. They act like they're looking out for you. But in reality, they're trying to pull you down, one quiet remark at a time. At first, it's easy to overlook. Maybe they tell you, "I'm just trying to keep you grounded," or "I don't want you to get ahead of yourself." Their words sound like concern. But something feels off. Every time you achieve something, instead of celebrating with you, they find a way to downplay your success. Well, anyone could have done that. Or worse, they highlight your flaws just when you're feeling proud. Seneca once said, "Envy is the ulcer of the soul." And for those who can't stand to see others succeed, their jealousy eats away at them. They don't truly want you to fail, but they don't want you to surpass them either. So they undermine you subtly. making you question whether you're really as good as you think. They make you feel small, not through insults, but through the careful erosion of your confidence. So how do you deal with them? Trust your gut. If someone's support feels conditional or their praise always comes with a hidden barb, take a step back. Surround yourself with people who genuinely want to see you thrive. Because real friends don't resent your success, they celebrate it. And real supporters don't make you feel smaller, they lift you higher. 10. The unwillingness to change. When someone refuses to grow. Growth requires self-awareness. It demands honesty, reflection, and the courage to admit mistakes. But some people will do anything to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. Instead of learning, they justify. Instead of changing, they blame. And no matter how much damage they cause, they never acknowledge their role in it. At first, their excuses might seem reasonable. I had no choice. It wasn't really my fault. But over time, a pattern emerges. They never apologize. They never take accountability. And when confronted, they twist the narrative, turning themselves into the victim while making you question whether you were wrong to call them out in the first place. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." But these individuals aren't interested in being better. They cling to bad habits, refusing to evolve. They deflect. They manipulate. They avoid the hard work of self-improvement. And the more you try to help them see the truth, the more resistance you'll face. So, what can you do? Except that you can't change them. People only grow when they choose to. If someone in your life refuses to take responsibility, stop expecting them to. Protect your own peace. Set boundaries. Walk away if you have to. Because at the end of the day, real strength isn't about fixing others. It's about knowing when to step back and focus on your own growth instead. Now you know the signs. You've seen the patterns. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? You can't change toxic people, but you can control how you respond. Set boundaries. Trust your instincts. Walk away when necessary. Because your peace, your energy, and your growth are worth protecting. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, not those who drain you. If this resonated with you, hit like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below. I see the signs. Let's keep learning, growing, and staying one step ahead.